Hello everyone, my name is Anthony Cummins and today I'm going to talk to you about the subject of who owns Ninjitsu. Now, this question came about, in my head, this question came about a few years ago and it's been going around my mind for a while. But the other day, Krista from Budo Ryu posted the very same question, so I thought maybe it is time to do a video because it's something I think nobody really touches on. So her question, and the question that's been floating around for a while, is who owns Ninjitsu and how do we know they own it? Okay, first of all, I think this question has to be changed because you cannot own Ninjitsu. It's simple, nobody owns it. Everybody is entitled to be interested in, partake in, study and get involved with Ninjitsu. It's totally up to the individual and that's your free right as a human on this planet to get involved with the subjects you want to get involved in. And in this case, a historical subject like Ninjitsu, not a problem. That's your choice. But that doesn't solve anything about, what is right, what is wrong, who does what should we do. There's still the mess. However, that doesn't necessarily solve the problem. We simply answer no, nobody owns it. Obviously there's still problems in the Ninjitsu community, or there is as of the year 2015. So what can we change this question to? How can we make this question more accessible? Well, I would say change the question first to where is Ninjitsu? Where is it? Before we ask who owns it, we have to say where is it? And I would say it's in three major places. And I would say that would be within the claims of living masters, but I'm going to specify that, they have taken it from somewhere else, but we'll get to that in a moment. So it's also in scrolls, out there, the scrolls, but it's also in private collections. So let's go through those three and discuss where is Ninjitsu. Okay, obviously a big question still is about the living claimants or ninja masters. Now, most of you know me now, and if you don't, this is generally my opinion, and it's my opinion because I've researched the subject and I do it for a living, and I have been researching for many years now, and I've lived in Japan and I've tracked these people down and I've gone to visit certain people, and I asked some very basic questions, and in the end, I must say, to date, I truly believe, now believe being the operative word, there is not a single living master of Ninjitsu left. None. The reason is no one across the world has produced any proof of being a living master. People have been asked to provide proof, multiple people, many around the world, and no one has. No one. So I would say, in my mind, not only is that a really bad thing that, if you claim something, prove it, but also I think the stories these people come up with are actually quite wrong, and they generally show a lot of inaccuracies and misunderstandings about Japanese history, or at least about shinobi history. So I would say, where is Ninjitsu? Is it with the living masters? I would say there's no such thing as a living master. There are simply some claimants. And until people prove themselves, then that's got to go to the side. I would say no. So, what about ninja scrolls? Yes, ninja scrolls do exist. But they're really difficult to get hold of. And of course, they're in medieval Japanese. So, is the ninjitsu in there? Yes, I would say it is. But there is a little stipulation I'll talk about at the end of this. Now the third one is private collections. Again, this is just scrolls, it's the same as number 2, but we have to realise that number 2, the ninja scrolls, are those that are public, those that are available to go and look at, to go and read if you read medieval Japanese, or those in the English language that my team have produced, and you can literally go to a shop and read it. Where is Ninjitsu? You can go to your local bookshop, you can pick up Book of Ninja, Iga and Koka Ninja Skills, you can read it, Ninjitsu is there. But in private collections, this is where you can't access it. Simply, they are private, nobody's putting them out, they are locked away in cupboards, and ninjutsu is tucked away in a dusty cupboard, and you can't look at it, and it's not there, so you can't get in. That's the problem there, so that's the third one. So, who owns ninjutsu? Well, first of all, we've asked, where is ninjutsu? Ninjutsu is... We can't say it's with the claimant masters because they've never proved themselves as masters or proved their claims. We can say it's in the scrolls, and we can say it's hidden away in private collections that are not accessible to us. So that leaves us with two places you can find ninjutsu. So the first one, of course, is the translations, but they come out quite slowly and they're just coming out, and that's where it is. And then, of course, the private collections there, we don't know when they'll be released or opened up, they're just simply private. So, now we know where ninjutsu is, we have to identify what is real ninjutsu, or is the ninjutsu inside those categories real or not? So first of all, who owns ninjutsu? We said, where is ninjutsu? We found out where ninjutsu is. But then we have to say, is that ninjutsu correct ninjutsu? Now, the reason I say this is because most people don't ask this very, very basic question, is the ninjutsu we read in scrolls correct? You know, some people take it on blind faith it is. Some people say, absolutely, no, it's not correct. You know, I don't agree with it. There's many Japanese people who are just like, no, fake. But there's no investigation. So I'd like to bring up the point and say, actually, real ninjutsu existed in the 14 and 1500s. So I think we can all agree that is a baseline. Real ninjutsu was in the warring periods because we know from historical records ninjas were used in the warring periods. We know that ninjas existed in Japan. So if we had a time machine, we could go back and we could watch some ninjas at work and we could say, wow, look, ninjutsu. He owns ninjutsu. That medieval 1500s Japanese warrior is using ninjutsu and he owns it. That's him. He's got it. But we don't have time machines and we're not in the 1500s. So instead of giving up, we say, what is the next best thing? Well, the next best thing is you've got to remember that when these ninjas used ninjutsu in the 1500s, they sent out an echo, a beacon, if you want, into time. Like that, and that ripple goes along the family or the school. So that ninja has used the ninjutsu, he's used it, and the peaceful period comes. But we know it's the peaceful period, we know it lasts for over 260 years. What they didn't know is that it would last for that long. They didn't realise that they were in a period of peace for centuries. So they continue to pass these things on. Now here's where it gets a little bit difficult. You have pure ninjutsu, Sengoku period, utilised, balls in, commando, spy, propaganda tactics. Then, in the Edo period, the peace period, they didn't say, oh, ninjutsu's finished, we give up, we're just going to pass on the traditions for fun. They truly believed that maybe it would be needed again. And they did have to use elements of it. It is without doubt that shinobi used in the Edo period for just basic spying. I've found personally field reports from ninja and things like that, and we know people retained ninja and igamono, and we know the uniforms they wore. So while it was the peace period to us as modern people, knowing we can just go over 200 years, they didn't know that. They knew they were in a period of peace, but they didn't know how long it would last. So they continued to pass on ninjutsu. Now, the people who passed it on and the people who wrote it down, we have to view that as like an echo. That original Sengoku beacon that goes out is picked up along the family lines, along the Ryus, and it's picked up and wrote down by people in scrolls. Now, some of that ninjutsu, this is where it's complicated, some of that ninjutsu was still used. They still had ninjas being spies in the Edo period. But very rarely did they use ninjas in active war or combat or, you know, basically battlefield things. They didn't really have that environment to work in. So they still wrote down the traditions, they still practiced it, and they still wrote down the types of thing they practiced, like spying and reconnaissance and propaganda, things like that. Which would be used to a very minimal level probably in the peaceful period. we know this because ninjas went into decline. So what we are left with, so for our question, what we are left with is some scrolls. Now they're divided into public scrolls, what we can all access, or private scrolls. Now the private scrolls we have to throw to the side for a minute because we just simply, apart from breaking through people's doors and ripping them into the street and executing everyone for keeping it private, which we can't do, even though we wish we could, we have to go with the public scrolls. So we only have the Sengoku Beacon Echo, those in the Edo period receiving the echo and writing it down. Only a small percentage of those scrolls become public, and an even tinier percentage now, about 10, have gone into, from our team, it's 10 we have translated, have gone into the world in the English language, and you are getting a very faint echo of ninjitsu, but it's a true echo in my opinion, if you believe what I say. It's my opinion that it's true because I've cross-referenced this with other things. We can tell they're exaggerated, we can tell where things have been copied from, but I truly believe the picture they've presented has given us a great understanding of what ninjitsu was. So, who owns ninjitsu? Oh, sorry, can you own ninjitsu? I suppose the question would be, yes you can, but everybody can own ninjitsu, it's a personal thing. Who owns ninjitsu? Again, everybody. So where is ninjitsu? We know ninjitsu is in these public scrolls, and we know it's in English in 10-ish scrolls so far. So the real question Krista is asking, the absolute number one question, is who controls ninjitsu? That is the actual question. Who controls it? We all own a bit. We all can access it now, thanks for the team and everything, but who controls it? This is that question that everybody really wants to know. Now I've decided this comes in three places. You get movies and documentaries, so basically the TV. You get modern worldwide ninja organizations. And then you get published authors and translators like myself. I know Don Rowley's done one. There's Alex Mauser, I think he's called, and there's a German gentleman's name I won't even try to pronounce. As far as I'm aware, they're the only. Now we've done 10. Don has done 1. The other 2 have done 1, and they're the same ones. All 3 of those are the same ones we've done anyway. So basically, there are still 10 out there. They've done 1, we've done 10, so there's a difference of about 9. So those are the translations that are out. So, movies. Do movies control ninjitsu? Yes, they do. The number one controller of ninjitsu in the world are movies and documentaries. Why? Because we're in the generation, we've passed Generation X, we're in the new generation, and those are the people of digital media. They will watch TV, watch documentaries, get apps, get things like that. The people now get their information from the TV. You will be 1,000,000,000% surprised how much of your historical knowledge is from a movie. Even historical researchers like me, most of what you know is made up of movies. The job of being a researcher nowadays is to make sure you cut off that idea of the movies have given you, because you've grown up on it. You've grown up on these things. So you shove it to one side as a historical researcher. Some things are right, some things are wrong, but they're not checked. You get rid of it. So the next thing is documentaries. Most people, history buffs or history people, really get their information from documentaries. But I've worked in the documentary field, and I'll tell you this thing, don't ever believe what you see in a documentary. Don't ever believe it. I was so shocked at the amount of just things made up in documentaries. Not saying it's all wrong, but I would definitely say be careful with the documentary. Even the documentaries I'm in, basically even one of the documentaries I was in, I was tucked to the side in London for one day, just recorded, and they spliced in things I said with their fake story to make it look like I was approving. For example, that I said Hattori Hanzo was in the Iga no Ran. I didn't say that, but they spliced everything very carefully so it looked like it did. So even the documentaries I am in, I would say, do not trust. Get rid of it. So, the last one, Ninja Scroll translations. So who controls ninjitsu? Movies and documentaries do, but it's actually bad. Then we have Ninja Scroll translations. They definitely, you have the control there. You can physically read the echo of real ninjutsu there. And of course, and I've left this one to last, is ninja organizations. We all know what I'm talking about. Basically, in the 80s and 90s, the Bujinkan or Otokuro was the biggest ninja organization in the world. They were in the height of the ninja boom. You also got Ashida Kin books were in there. They were very popular in the 80s and 90s. You got lots of these offshoot books that were popular in the 80s and 90s, and people flew to Japan, they flew over the world, they had seminars. I went to seminars. Those people in those days totally controlled ninjutsu, because that was, you know, apart from movies, of course, which I've just explained, the actual, you know, more serious people went for books and they were looking through them, and people believed that, you know, was ninjutsu. Now again, I'm not going into the debate. Some bits were real, some bits were fake, some bits were problematic, blah blah blah, etc. But my point is that the ninja organizations actually controlled ninjutsu below movies. Now, of course, we've hit the 2000s, and I was just like, no, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with the ninja organizations. As you all know, I went to Japan. I've been to a few of them, and I was like, nope, this is not right. So I put the team together and we broke through with translations. So now you have a choice of saying, do I believe in movies and documentaries? I would say throw them all out of the window, every single one, mine included. Get rid of them, useless. Ninja organizations, as I say, if somebody claims, I'm not having a go here at the people I've just mentioned, that's not my point. Everybody who ever claimed to be a ninja master, nobody has said, here's my proof, here it is, there you go, done. So you can't trust those because there's no proof. Without proof, you are studying something dubious, and no human in their right mind would spend money or go towards or be involved with something that they can't prove. So that leaves you with ninja translations. Now, of course, our people put them out, other people put them out. The question then for people is, are the ninja translations correct? Now, as an author and a translator with Yoshie, I don't speak Japanese, she speaks the Japanese, but we put it into basic English, and then we have to spend a lot of time manipulating the script till it becomes perfect, or as close to perfect as we can. But anybody who's ever done any translation or knows anything about history and documents knows that there is no way you will get a 100% accurate translation. This doesn't mean things are wrong, it's in shades of grey. It means that the author translators have to get as close to the original meaning as possible. And sometimes you just can't reach it. It's like being tied to a piece of elastic, and it's like running towards a goal, trying to grab something, and you just can never get there. You're really close, you're really, really close, but you just will never get there because we are not from those times. We are not those authors, and it's always got a little bit of you put into the scroll. Including your vocabulary. So for example, if two people translate something, they'll use different vocabularies for the same words, because you know there's that many combinations of words, you couldn't have the same. So who controls ninjutsu? I would say in the 80s and 90s it was definitely the organizations. I would now say the balance of power is shifting to people who are doing more translations, and they want to read the documents, and now the documents are available, they have a choice. And of course everybody can turn to movies, but don't. So that's where we're at. It's now, so my answer to this is, when you want to know who owns ninjutsu, you say we can all own a little bit of ninjutsu. You put it inside here and you use it and you do whatever you want with it. You own it. Who controls ninjutsu? I would say that depends on who controls the masses and who influences the masses the most. So the movies clearly control ninjutsu because it influences the masses the most. People who are hardcore devotees of the ninja masters out there, they are controlled by the ninja master. Whatever the ninja master says, they believe. And those who are absolute historical ninjutsu texts, they will believe the texts above all of it. So it's a balance of power. There's movies, organizations, translations. It's all moving up and down as time goes on. It's fluid. So that's realistically the answer is, who controls ninjutsu? It depends on you. What's your approach and which of the three do you go for? That will tell you who controls you. It would be debatable of who controls the most, but that would depend on the time period. Right, so I would like to say to you now that ninjutsu is dead. What I mean by that is it was never an unbroken lineage to today. It died out. Even, I'm going to say, as much as it was on its dying breath in the early Edo period, and that only a handful of warriors carried it on. So I wouldn't say it died totally in the Edo period, but it was alive at its it was at its most alive, its most vigorous in the Sengoku period. Clearly, it was when it was most used. Then it was just hanging on to life in the Edo period. And I would say by the Edo period, by the end of the Edo period, Meiji Restoration, looking at 1868, you are looking at it on its last dying breath, and by 1900 we can assume it's dead, because there is no proof anywhere in the world that says to the otherwise. It doesn't say anywhere else that. So that means everything in ninjutsu, no matter what you do, is a recreation. Those in the Edo period writing it down, the scrolls are recreations of ninjutsu. Ninjutsu is a physical thing. You're climbing a castle wall, you're speaking to someone, you're blowing something up, you're crawling through a tunnel space. It's a physical thing. The echo is the writing. That's its dying breath. That's it being, telling the world its last words. And it's resurrected in the 20th and 21st century as people start to write books about it, and it's resurrected. So remember, it goes alive in the Sengoku period. Much less or much smaller and just holding on in the Edo period. It dies off in the Meiji Restoration, the early 20th century, when all the last masters die. And it's resurrected in the 1960s, 50s, when people like Fujitake are starting to pull books out, and we've got all that, and it becomes very popular. And of course, the 20th century, basically, when they start resurrecting it. And it's only now, it's only in the last few years with my team and our guys, that it's actually been available in English, the historical ninjutsu, for the first time. So that's, where it's gone. So remember, if you come away from this video with one thing, remember that ninjutsu was once a beat, boom, like a drum. It echoed through time, but then that echo became extremely faint, and it was picked up in scrolls, and then it's been brought back to life and pushed back into your hands, and now you're watching this video and it's going in your brain, and ninjutsu is starting to get that pulse again. It isn't going to ever be real ninjutsu. Real ninjutsu is on the battlefield in samurai times, but it can transmute into something alive, something valuable, something precious. So when I say you need to take something from this video, you've got to realize that ninjutsu is only alive and important because you have taken control of it. You have grabbed it. The people who control it are those who feed you the information. Yep. And you can change, and we can change it into something vibrant and useful and educational and entertaining and an array of positive words I can't quite think of right now. So when you go away from this video, go away and sit down and say, do I think of movies, ninjas the most? Do I think of what the ninja masters have said the most, these claimants who have not been proven? Or do I think of what the people who wrote down the secrets said the most? Which one do I believe the most? So unless you've got a time machine, unless you can move through a vortex and a wormhole, and for all the sarcasm I put in, I'm being honest, unless you can do that, which you know you can't, then you have to choose one of those three. Or you have to choose your source correctly. So sit down and ask yourself, am I a proper straight human inside? Have I got the balls to say yes or no? And because I absolutely did. I went to Japan, I was all like, yeah, ninjas. And I got there and went, no. You've just got to have that balls inside. You've got to have that spine inside that says, no, I've wasted 10 years on this. I'm not wasting any more time. I'm going to adapt what I've learned and find something new. So the question is, do you believe movies? Do you believe the grandmasters? And I say grandmasters, I'm not saying that real grandmasters, the claimants. Or do you believe what the Edo period people wrote down, which were not battlefield ninjas either? So which do you believe and which is best for you? Right, my name's Anthony Cummins. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to put a link down below to all the ninja translations we've done so far. It's on my Amazon page. So if you want to actually read some ninja manuals, you can do down below. Now, the comments are going to be open for you below, so please comment. If you know anyone who's interested in ninjutsu, please share this on your page and get them to subscribe here, because the idea of this channel is to get everybody talking about ninjutsu, to get rid of what was crap from the 20th century and to take up the Edo period document echoes and investigate them and find out what's real and what's not real and bring some new vitality to ninjutsu. And that won't happen unless you do something with this video. I can do as much as I want, I can do all the work in the world, but it ain't going to go anywhere unless everybody reads the translations and everybody gets involved. So there you go. My name's Andy Cummins, subscribe here and I'll talk to you all again.